So, let's talk about The Last of Us, specifically Season 2. If you've been anywhere near the fandom lately, you've probably heard a lot of noise. Some fans are frustrated, others are defending the direction the show's taking, and then there's just general confusion. One of the biggest flashpoints, Joel's death in Episode 2. Yup, it happened early, it was brutal, and it got people talking. Now, to be clear, Joel's death wasn't some surprise twist the showrunners threw in for shock value. It lines up almost exactly with what happened in The Last of Us Part 2 video game. Pedro Pascal didn't leave because of behind-the-scenes drama or scheduling issues. His reduced screen time was always part of the plan. Still, that hasn't stopped the backlash. So, in this video, we're going to break it all down and talk about what's really going on with Season 2, why are fans so divided, and is the show actually falling apart, or is this just another case of passionate fanbase reacting to a bold creative choice? Hello everybody, it's Idol on TV. If you are new to the channel, welcome. I think it's time to talk about the current state of The Last of Us. Some fans are fully on board and loving where the story is going, others not so much. They've been pretty vocal with their criticism. And then there's another group that's gone from fans to full-on haters, mostly because they just can't get behind some of the creative choices. I think whatever happened, it was pretty much expected, especially if you've played the game, but you know us people, we love to complain. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel, it's free. Now let's get to the video. Joel's death, depicted brutally in Episode 2, mirrored the game's narrative where Abby, seeking revenge for her father's death at Joel's hands, kills him early in the story. This event shocked many viewers, particularly those unfamiliar with the game, leading to significant fan backlash for several reasons. The first major reason for the backlash, it's pretty simple. People love Joel, and not just Joel as a character, Pedro Pascal as Joel. In Season 1, he and Ellie had that emotionally charged father-daughter dynamic that really carried the heart of the show. Fans connected with it, they connected with him. So when Season 2 rolled around and Joel was suddenly gone by Episode 2, yeah, it hit hard, not just for the characters, but for the audience too. I saw someone on X put it perfectly. Pedro's presence did for the show. The characters felt a loss, and so did the audience. And it's not just about Joel's role in the story, it's also about Pascal himself. I mean, this guy's been everywhere lately. The Mandalorian, The Last of Us, he's even showing up in the Fantastic Four. So, for casual viewers, seeing a star like that suddenly yanked off the screen, it felt weird. One fan on Rotten Tomatoes even called it a waste of amazing potential, and honestly, I get it. Now, another big reason for the backlash was the fear that the show just wouldn't be the same without that Joel and Ellie bond. In Season 1, their relationship was the emotional anchor, and that's what made the story really hit. So when Joel was killed off, fans were left wondering, well, what's left? Some critics on Rotten Tomatoes didn't hold back, saying things like, killing the one thing that made the story awesome was straight up bad. And a lot of fans were skeptical about whether Ellie, played by Bella Ramsey, could carry the show on her own. One person on X even said, Bella is just not able to carry the show, and her performance is not compelling in the slightest. But not everyone agreed. There were definitely voices pushing back against that narrative. Tyler Trotman, for example, said, Bella Ramsey, they can carry the show without Pedro. So yeah, the fan base is kind of split on this. Some people think the magic died with Joel, others believe the show just needs room to evolve. Reason number 3, the way Joel's death was handled felt off. At least to a lot of people. It was sudden, violent, and came super early in the season, which left some viewers feeling like they barely had time to settle in before getting gut punched. Over on X, there were posts saying the episode right after Joel's death didn't do enough to carry the momentum. One fan even suggested that episodes 3 and 4 should have dropped together just to give people a clearer picture of the show's new direction without Joel. Here's the thing, if you didn't play the games, this probably hit way harder. In The Last of Us Part 2, the game takes its time revealing Abby's backstory and motivations, but the show jumped straight into it, which removed some of that mystery and build-up. For casual viewers, it felt like a major character died without enough emotional or narrative payoff. Another big piece of the Backlash puzzle: expectations against reality, especially when it comes to how closely the show followed the game. A lot of fans, particularly those who didn't play The Last of Us Part 2, were holding out hope that the show might take a different path. Maybe stretch out Joel's storyline, keep Pedro Pascal around a little longer, lean into his star power. Even among gamers, there were speculation that the show might tweak things. Maybe not kill Joel off so soon, or at least build it up differently. But that's not what happened. Showrunners Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann stuck closely to the source material, and Pedro Pascal, he was totally on board. He even said it wouldn't make sense to stray severely from the path. Of course, that commitment to staying true to the game didn't sit well with everyone. Some fans felt let down, hoping for a fresh take. One commenter on Rotten Tomatoes even called it one of the worst adaptations in existence, which, yikes. But others appreciated the loyalty to the original story. So again, we're seeing this split between those wanting a new version and those respecting the creators for not flinching. But was Joel's death the only reason for those issues or so-called downfall? Not really. While it was definitely the spark that lit the fire, there's more to it than just that. Some of the backlash also came from other narrative choices, changes made during the adaptation process, and just the usual internet drama that tends to blow things out of proportion. That said, it's important to keep in mind there's no solid proof that the show is actually tanking. The quality, still strong, the viewership, not falling off a cliff. So while some fans are clearly unhappy, calling it a full-on downfall might be more about perception than reality. Despite Joel's death, Pascal remains in Season 2 through flashbacks, appearing in 4 of 7 episodes, including key scenes like the Science Museum flashback from the game. Showrunner Craig Mazin emphasized a good amount of Joel and Ellie scenes to preserve their dynamic, promising a more complicated and resonant story. Season 3 will also feature Pascal in additional flashbacks, ensuring his long-term presence. But there were also other factors that made fans criticize the show even more. Some fans criticized the writing as poor or silly, particularly regarding character decisions, such as sending people out during a snowstorm or the coincidental ease of Abby finding Joel. These choices, while consistent with the game, felt contrived to some viewers in the show's context. Another important factor is the show's pivot to Ellie's revenge arc and Abby's storyline definitely split the audience. In the game, you slowly build empathy for Abby over time, but the show reveals her motives much earlier, which took away some of that mystery and left some viewers feeling disconnected, especially those who were fully Team Ellie from the start. And there's another thing. Well, a lot of fans aren't loving Ellie's reaction to Dina's pregnancy in the HBO series, and here's why. In the game, Ellie's this deeply flawed, revenge-driven character, and her reaction to that moment was raw and uncomfortable. That's what made it powerful. But in the show, her response feels softer, happier, and to fans, that kind of takes the edge off her arc. It lowers the emotional stakes and doesn't really line up with the darker tone of The Last of Us Part 2. Now, to be fair, some people are defending the show's choice. They say it actually makes Ellie more human and relatable early on, before things get dark. Maybe the show's setting us up for a different kind of emotional payoff, especially since it's squeezing a 20+ hour game into just 7 episodes. But honestly, that take isn't super popular, at least not on places like X, where fans are very protective of the game's original story. On top of that, the creators had to deal with the weight of Season 1's success. Season 1 set the bar really high, critics loved it, and it pulled an 87% fan score on Rotten Tomatoes. So, when Season 2 dropped to 55% after just 2 episodes, the backlash hit even harder. Expectations were sky high, and any bold move like killing off Joel was bound to stir things up. Some fans even started drawing comparisons to shows like The Walking Walking Dead after Andrew Lincoln left, worrying The Last of Us was headed down a similar path. The Walking Dead faced intense backlash after Rick's exit, with fans on Reddit and Twitter calling it the final nail in the coffin. Viewership dropped significantly from 12.2 million per episode in Season 5 to 5.1 million by Season 9's end. Rotten Tomatoes fan scores for Season 9 hovered around 60%, similar to The Last of Us Season 2's 55% for its first 2 episodes, which is understandable. I mean, I felt the same way after Steven Yeun left. If you know, you know. Fan reviews can actually become a real problem when they care about a certain thing so much. Season 2 got hit with review bombing on Rotten Tomatoes, mostly from fans still upset about Joel's death or unhappy with the direction the story took in the game. You can still see echoes of that 2020 frustration all over X and Reddit. Some threads even claim the show's subreddit turned into anti-Ellie propaganda. Basically, a lot of the division around The Last of Us Part 2 is still alive and well, and it's bleeding into how Season 2 is being received. That said, it hasn't been all negative. Some viewers are still praising the production quality and performances. As one Rotten Tomatoes reviewer put it, still well made, well acted, even without Joel in the mix. But there is one thing that could be an issue: the adaptation. One of the big hurdles for Season 2 is that it's only adapting part of The Last of Us Part 2. With Season 3 already confirmed to continue the story, this split has made the pacing feel stretched or uneven to some fans. So all those key emotional moments from the game, like the museum flashback, helped soften the blow of Joel's death. But with only pieces of those included, some viewers felt there were emotional gaps. Even smaller changes like revealing Abby's motives right away or how Eugene's death was handled left parts of the audience confused or frustrated, especially those unfamiliar with the source material. Let's be real, the word downfall sounds dramatic. And yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes fan score did drop to 55% for the first couple episodes of Season 2, but that's more about a divided fan base than any clear drop in quality or viewership. There is no concrete data showing ratings are crashing, and the comparisons to The Walking Dead after Rick left, mostly speculation. Critics from places like The Guardian and IGN actually praised the second episode, calling it brave and pivotal. The show's production quality is still top tier. The acting, especially from Bella Ramsey and Caitlin Dever, is getting props, and the themes of revenge and grief are still hitting hard. So yeah, it's divisive, but that's not the same as a downfall. There were also some outside influences that added fuel to the fire. A few fans on Rotten Tomatoes accused the show of political spoon-feeding, though they didn't get super specific. This kind of pushback isn't new. It mirrors some of the discourse around The Last of Us Part 2 and its diverse cast and themes, which clearly carried over into the show. And then there's the whole spoiler problem. Since the game dropped back in 2020, a lot of people already knew Joel's fate. For some, that took away the shock. For others especially, show-only viewers seeing it spoiled in online discussions just ruined the experience altogether. Reddit threads were full of people frustrated by leaks, which probably made the backlash feel even louder. So, is The Last of Us Season 2 actually falling apart? Not exactly. The outrage after Joel's death mostly comes down to how emotionally connected fans were to Pedro Pascal and the Joel-Ellie bond. Losing that so early, especially in such a brutal way, was a huge shock, especially for people who didn't play the game, but that's not the whole story. There were other things stirring the pot too. Mixed reactions to the writing, changes in pacing, the early reveal of Abby's motives, and sky-high expectations after Season 1's success. And let's not forget, some of this backlash has been simmering since the Part 2 game launched in 2020. That said, Pascal is still around in flashbacks, the acting remains solid, and the production quality hasn't dropped. Plus, the creators are sticking close to the game's vision, even if it's not the direction everyone wanted. At the end of the day, this isn't a clear-cut downfall, it's more like growing pains in a bold and risky story. And yeah, they did completely ignore Tommy's revenge arc, but we still have season 3 ahead of us, and only time will tell if they will stay true to the source. Well, that's it for today's video. If you've made it this far, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments if you're still on board with The Last of Us or did season 2 lost you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.